Oasis, these are your morning announcements. As you all know, during the holiday season, we like to put on an event to entertain and minister to our community. And this year is no different. So please join us and invite your friends and family to the Christmas Spectacular, Saturday, December 19th at 6 p.m. and Sunday, December 20th at 2 p.m. Tickets are $7 and you can purchase them by going to the events page. The link is on the screen. Tickets are selling fast. You want to make sure that you're going to be a part. We'll hope to see you there. Our favorite Sunday is coming up. That's right, Sunday Fun Day is coming up on December 6th at 6 p.m. It's going to be a wonderful night. We're going to be watching the movie Elf. We're going to be having s'mores, playing games, and just a great time together. So be sure to invite your friends and family on December 6th at 6 p.m. Thank you so much for your generosity. Every time you give your tithes or offerings, that money goes back into our church to put on the events that you see, to our food pantry, and to those that are in need. If you would like to give, you can text the word GIVE to the number on the screen, or you can go to our website under the Gift tab. And once again, thank you so much for your generosity. Please join us December 24th for our Christmas Eve service. We have 3 separate times for you to invite your friends and family, starting at 1 p.m., 2:30, and 4 p.m. We hope to see you there. These were your morning announcements. Now it's time to gather your family around, stand up, and enjoy the service.
Merry Christmas, Oasis. We are finally into the Christmas season, and with that starts a brand new Christmas series that we're starting today, which is called The Greatest Gift. And Pastor Andy is going to talk on it in just a few minutes, but before we go into that and before we go back into worship, I just want to quickly talk about what the greatest gift means to you and what it means to me. And we're going to dive more into that, but of course, it means something way deeper than just a gift or the family games that you're going to have together. There is something that you and I can both take a part of, and Pastor Andy's going to go into actually the greatest surrender, which is going to help us get to the greatest gift. So I hope that you enjoy it. You're going to want to take notes on this one and gather your family and get ready to worship as we go back into the service. Thank you so much.
The table that you prepared for me, in the presence of my enemy. It's your body and your blood you shed for me. This is how I fight my battle. There's a table you prepared for me, in the presence of my enemy. It's your body and your blood you shed for me. This is how I fight my battle. And I believe you've overcome. I will lift my song of praise for all you've done. This is how I fight my battles. 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 This is how. In the valley, I know that you're with me. And surely your goodness and your mercy follows me. So my weapons of praise and thanksgiving. This is how I fight my battles. And I believe you've overcome. And I will lift my song of praise for all you've done. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how. Come on, no matter what you're facing right now, this is a time to know that the battle belongs to the Lord and time to cast your care over to Him. Come on, let's sing it out. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. Come on, say, it may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you, Jesus. It may look like
I'll be home for Christmas, where the love light gleams. I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my dreams.
Well, good morning and welcome to Oasis Community Church. I'm so excited this morning as we head into this Christmas season. How many of you are ready for Christmas? Show of hands at home, right? Nah, listen, I'm not ready for Christmas. I haven't even begun Christmas shopping. I'm like what they call the day before type of guy. And usually I have it all planned in my mind and I'm ready to go. But I got to tell you, I'm a little bit excited for Christmas this year, probably because it's a little bit different. Right? It's not going to be all the same festivities that we've had in the past. And actually, I'm really looking forward to it, not for the festivities, but I'm looking forward to it this year because I think our world becomes a little kinder around Christmas. And through all the craziness of this last couple months, I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to kindness, right? I think you could agree with that. Well, we're starting a new series at Oasis Community Church over the Christmas season, and it's called The Greatest Gift. And I was thinking about this series. I was reminded of a scene in one of my favorite movies called The Christmas Story. I'm going to play a scene for you, so watch this, and we're going to come right back.
My God, would you look at that mess? Who's going to clean the papers up?
Not me.
Oh, no?
No.
Granny did it last year.
Well, he can do it again.
You know, this wine's not bad. Well, it's not good either, but you want a sip?
Yeah.
No, you don't. Oh. Did you have a nice Christmas?
Yeah, pretty nice.
Yeah, did you get everything you wanted?
Almost.
Almost, huh? Well, that's life. Well, there's always next Christmas.
Yeah.
Hey, that's funny. What's that over there behind the desk?
Where?
Oh, behind the desk, against the wall over there. Why don't you go check it out? Come on.
What have you put over there, honey?
Santa Claus probably brought it.
Oh, it was beautiful. I could hardly wait to try it out.
Do you know how to load it?
Yeah.
Yeah? That's right. Careful. Oh, they run all over. Close her up. Close it up.
Can I try it out, Ma? Can I?
Okay, but outside. Oh, I still say those things are dangerous. No, put on your galoshes and your coat. It's cold out.
I had one when I was 8 years old.
What if he hurts himself? Hurry, your coat! Don't shoot any animals or birds.
Except the Bumpus' dogs.
I love that movie. How many of you can relate to that scene, right? You, as a little kid, you knew there was a gift that you wanted, and you watched all your gifts become open, and all your brothers or sisters or family members opened up all their gifts, and after it was all said and done, there was not a sense of joy, but a sense of disappointment, right? Because there was that one gift, that one thing that you truly, truly wanted that you didn't get. But then all of a sudden, Disappointment turns to excitement because one of maybe your parents had said, well, whoa, wait a second. Hey, you didn't check the closet. Or you didn't go out into the garage. Or you didn't go out in the backyard. And I got to tell you, we've done that to our kids many a times. And then when they go out there and all of a sudden, there's the gift they wanted. You know, the gift. Listen, I've had that happen to me. Mine was a big wheel, a spin-out 360 big wheel when I was a little kid. I was looking all over for it, opened up all my gifts, and then all of a sudden my parents said, but wait. We've got one more gift. It was the gift. And jubilation, excitement, joy happened in my life, and I love that feeling. But I was thinking about it this year, and we always ask the question, hey, what did you get for Christmas? Hey, what did you get for Christmas? And I was thinking about that, I've never recall anyone ever asking me, hey, what did you give for Christmas? Right? That's never the question. It's always, what did I get for Christmas? And I think sometimes it's the same way when we think about God. Oftentimes we think about more what we get from God than what we give to God. Over the next couple weeks, we're starting this series, The Greatest Gift, and you're going to hear the things that God gives us, whether it's hope, peace, joy, eternity. But today I want to change our thoughts a little bit. I want to ask ourselves the question as we focus in on this, not what do I get from God, but what do I give to God? As I read through the Christmas account, I see two different perspectives about this idea of getting and giving. And I see one figure who's all about trying to retain control and get more control, and another who's all about giving control and surrendering. And the difference between them figuratively and literally is both life and death. And I know it to be true. Each one of us has to make a decision this season. Am I going to be a getter or am I going to be a giver? I'm curious, how many of you would honestly say there's at least one area of your life, and for some of you, maybe it's more, that you try to get control of? Right? There's at least a small part of your life, or maybe it's a big part of your life that you try to get control. You find yourself tempted right now to reach over and lift up the hand of your spouse or one of your children. And let me just tell you, over the next few minutes, I'm going to ask you not to try to grab control of them, but maybe grab control of your own thoughts for a moment. You see, because I believe God's about to speak to you about letting go of control, because that's really what the Christmas story is all about. It's about control. Our control versus God's control of us. It's about giving up control that we find ourselves in this passage today. And so if you have a Bible, I'm going to encourage you. We're going to read a lengthy portion of text right now. We're going to read a little bit of the Christmas story. And it comes out of Luke chapter 1, verse 26 through 38. Here we go. Luke 1, 26 through 38. In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent to God to from the city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin betrothed to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David. And the virgin's name was Mary. And he came to her and said, "Greetings, O favored one, the Lord is with you." But she was greatly disturbed at the saying and tried to discern what sort of greeting he might be up to. And the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. And behold, you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you will call him Jesus. And he will be great, and he'll be called the Son of the Most High, and the Lord God, and will give him the throne of David And he will reign over the house of Jacob, and of his kingdom there will be no end." Verse 34. And Mary said to the angel, "How will this be? I am a virgin." And the angel answered her, "The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore, the child will be born, will be called Holy, the Son of God. And behold, your relative Elizabeth in her old age has also conceived a son. And this is the 6th month with her who is called barren. For nothing is impossible with God." And Mary said, "Behold, I am the servant of the Lord." And then I love this part of the passage. She quotes the Beatles. "Let it be," she says, "as you have said." And then the angel departed from her. Notice the verse 29. There's a word there that in the midst of all this news doesn't really fit. It says the word, in verse 29, she says, "And when the angel had come to her, she was greatly disturbed." Confused, afraid. The angel speaks and she says, "You know what? Whatever you say, let it be." Remember that song, right? Let it be, let it be. Well, that's really should be a Christmas song because that was the song of Mary's heart. In essence, God, I surrender, I submit to you even the desires I have, even though I'm disturbed, afraid, etc. You know, the word surrender, it means to give up, to yield, to give way, to let go of control. In essence, it means to let it be. One lesson we learned from Mary that in order for God to work, she has to give up control. And I would remind you the same. In order for God to work in your life this season, you have to give up control. I can already tell you that some of you are thinking this is a perfect message for my spouse. I'm glad they're going to hear this one. Or I can hear you saying, I'm not controlling. Listen, I've said that many times. I'm not controlling. Instead, I use this word, I'm just aggressively helpful. I'm not controlling. I'm just super organized. Some of you, you want to control everything. You want to control your kids. You want to control what they look like, who they hang out with, what they do. You want to control them. You want to control your spouse, how they chew, how they dress, how their hair looks, what they say, what you want, where you go, how they load the dishwasher, how they vacuum. Listen, some of you really want to control what people think about you. Social media, right? This is the time. Everybody posts their beautiful Christmas pictures up on social media. It's used as the greatest weapon to get you to see a life that you think they have. A filtered, edited life. Like, let's be honest, how many of you, it's taken about 22 attempts to get your Christmas photo right this year so that you could post it, right? You may have given away a kid just about, you may have divorced your spouse, but at the end you got the picture, #blessed, right? But in the midst of it all, it was no blessing at all because the control issue was there. Listen, I understand that. Every time I take a picture in my family, I get the words, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Why? Because we try to control every single aspect of our lives. It's funny because the more you try to control, the more you fear losing control. The more you fear losing control, the more you want to be in control. And I want to remind you this morning, you don't have the power to control, but you do have the power to surrender. Let me rephrase that again one more time for you. You don't have the power to control everything in your life, but you do have the power to surrender everything in your life. When we talk about this, an angel appears to Mary, and a lot of people hear this and think, well, it's Mary. She was she was set apart, picked by God. But you know what? Mary didn't realize that yet. You see, no. What happened is the angel appears to her, and we have to recognize this, that Mary was just an average, ordinary, everyday teenage girl, just a regular kid. She had hopes and dreams just like every other girl. Matter of fact, it says that she was engaged. She was dreaming about getting married to Joey, and they would have little Joey Juniors. She would picture her wedding photos being taken on the bridge to Bethlehem at sunset, and she would be posting them on Israelgram, right? She had it all figured out. She had the control of what was going to happen. She had hopes and she had dreams. And then an angel comes to her and says, no. God is going to do something different with you. And that's why the passage in the verses says, that's why she was disturbed. She was confused. Mary's response, why? Because something was about to happen to Mary that she hadn't planned and that she didn't have control over. Listen, fear and worry only produce the desire to control, and control robs you of abundant living because it's limited by your power. You want to block a blessing from God in your life? Take control of something in your life. Some of you can relate to that, especially this year. You've had plans for this year. Some of you had hopes and dreams for what your work life was going to be like. Maybe some of you were growing in a company or all of a sudden now the company's downsizing and you're not even sure you're going to have a job come next year because of what's happened. You're barely paying your bills right now because of what's happened. And it's weighing on you. Maybe it's a relational issue. Maybe your marriage isn't what you thought it would be because now that you're spending so much more time together in quarantine, you're realizing that there's bigger issues. And you know what? You're finding yourself a little disturbed in your relationships. Maybe it's a parent. Maybe you thought your kids were going to go to school. It was going to be a great school year. And now you find yourself not just being a parent, but also a teacher as your kids are home. Or maybe there's an empty chair at the Christmas table because someone passed away unexpectedly this year. Maybe it's a health issue. It could be a financial aid. It could be as simple as mask mandate wearing, and you find yourself disturbed. It could be any number of things. You're disturbed. You're confused. You didn't think this is the way it was going to be. Let me tell you, you are just like Mary today. Her life was going in a different direction than she thought it would. And she had to make a decision between her plans and what appears to be God's purpose. And I love her response. Behold, I am a servant of the Lord. Let it be to me as you have said. God, I surrender control. In the midst of being out of control, I'm going to surrender control. Even though she didn't understand the plan, she trusted the purpose and the one who brought forth the purpose. God, I surrender control. By the way, Mary didn't give partial surrender. She gave complete surrender. And I don't know about you, but there's areas in my life that it's, yeah, God, I'll surrender this to you, no problem. But this area, man, I'm going to cling to. I'm going to control what happens here. But there's no partial surrender with God. It's all or nothing. It means to say this, God, I trust you. Everything I have is yours. Everything I am is yours. To surrender control is the greatest gift you can give to God. It means I trust you. It means I trust you, God, that you know better for me than I know for me. Let me tell you, that's pretty hard because I think I know what's right for me a lot. What is our desire to control rooted in? When I look at different areas of my life and the areas that I try to control, I realize my desire to control revolves around a lack of faith. The more we find ourselves trying to control, the more we underestimate the power of God. Matthew 10:39 says this, if you cling to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for me, you will find it. And that's the dilemma Mary found herself in that morning. In other words, to fully follow Jesus is to surrender control. And when we look at Mary's surrender, what is interesting is every time she chooses to surrender something, she eventually sees the faithfulness of God. Let me tell you this morning. The more you surrender to God, the more you'll see evidence of God's faithfulness to you. Watch it again and again and again. Mary, you're not a virgin. You're going to be pregnant, the angel tells her. So she's got to go tell Joseph. And she says, I got to go tell my fiancé, the person I'm engaged to, that I'm already pregnant. Mary's response, let it be. She surrenders. What does God do? God shows up and shows faithfulness. Matter of fact, he sends the Gabriel to Joey's house and gives Joey confirmation that, hey, what Mary's about to tell you, although it sounds crazy, is true. God provides faithfulness to Mary. She surrenders her faithfulness to God. Could you imagine people around town? Could you imagine the chatter? You know, they're whispering, I saw her donkey over at Joey's house at 2 a.m. You know what they were doing, don't you? You know what happens then. The Holy Spirit then shows up and confirms to Elizabeth so that the crowd around can also understand that this is of God. You know, whenever you think of Mary giving birth, she's 9 months pregnant, she's riding a donkey, she can't find a Days Inn or a Marriott to stay in, there's no rooms. This is not an ideal situation. This is not the ideal situation that she thought she was going to have a child in. She can't control the situation anymore. What does God do? He provides a stall. Now, it's not what she thought, it's not the situation, it's not how she would have controlled the issue, but it is God's faithfulness to always provide for her. She surrenders to God's vision over her visibility. Let me repeat that. That's a great statement. Listen, many of us, we need to surrender our lives to God's vision versus what we see, versus our visibility. She trusts God more than what she sees in front of her. She surrenders control, even though the outcome may be different than what she thought it was going to be. You see, what I've realized, friends, and I realize this about in my own life, is a lot of times I want God's blessing, I just don't want God part of it. Now, I said in the beginning of this message that there was two perspectives, and that's Mary's, right? Mary's is a heart of surrender. But then there's another character in this story. It's a guy by the name of King Herod. You see, the king gets word that there's a baby that's going to be born and that he's going to be a king. And so Herod starts to feel a little pressure. He starts to realize, I've got to take control of this situation. I got to take control of what's going on, because what's going to happen is I'm going to lose my kingship. I'm going to lose everything I know it to be. I'm going to lose the ability to control others, control my surroundings. And so I got to take control of this situation. I got to get my hands around it. Man, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? I got to get my hands around it. I got to take control. I don't know what might happen, so I got to start to step into play and take charge of something. Can anybody relate to that? So Herod gets wind. Who is this baby? We got to make sure he's dead. Because if he's alive, then I might lose my kingship. So it's an attack on him as a person. In the beginning of the message, there's two perspectives, and here it is. Herod is the getter in the story. He's not the giver in the story. Herod's trying to get control of the situation. He's trying to check out what happens and figure out how does he manage the situation. Matthew 2, verses 1 through 4. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who's been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose, and we've come to worship him." Verse 3. When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed. There's that word again, disturbed. The same word Mary used to describe her encounter. Listen, when you are disturbed, it'll either cause you to grasp for control or surrender control. For Herod, he took control. And when King Herod takes control because he's disturbed all of Jerusalem, he goes after him. Here we go, verse 4. When he had called together all the people, the chief priests and the teachers of law, he asked them, "Where is this Messiah to be born?" He sends the Magi out to look for him, and we pick up back up in Matthew 2, verse 16. When Herod realized that he'd been outwitted by the Magi because they didn't come back to report to him where Jesus was, he was furious. He gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years and younger. For 2 years, this dude was trying to grasp control of a situation. Maybe there's a situation in your life that you've been forever, for 2 years, and it seems like an eternity, you've been trying to grab control of it. For 2 years, he tried, in accordance with what time he had learned from the birth of the Magi. And you see what happens here when Herod, you see the difference between Mary and Herod. Mary surrenders, Herod reaches for more control. And whenever Herod takes control of the situation, you know what comes upon it? Death. A death sentence. And what I've come to understand is that when I try to take control away from God for the plans of my life, for the things of my life, what happens is things begin to die. Relationships die, dreams die, finances die, my spirit dies because I become like Herod. The ruling principle on earth is pretty easy. It's get control of whatever you can. But the ruling principle in heaven is surrender everything you can. Herod gets control, Mary surrenders control. Two different outcomes prevail. Think about this. The king and all the forces want to kill the baby. Every day, Mary, God, I trust you with my child. God, I trust you with my child. On the run, fleeing to Egypt. God, I trust you with my child. God, I trust you. I don't know where we're going to sleep. I don't know what we're going to eat, but I trust you. I don't know what's happening, but I surrender and I trust you. Listen, to be honest, everybody probably has some area in our lives that we're not sure what's happening. We're not sure what the outcome's going to be. We're not sure what the relationship's going to look like. We're not sure what the finances are going to look like. We're not sure what the marriage is going to look like, what the health is going to look like. Let me just be honest today with you. Surrender it. Surrender. God, no matter the outcome, I trust you. Everything we see in the story regarding Mary is her surrendering control to God. And as a result, what we see is Mary being a recipient of God's faithfulness. Let me ask you a question this morning. What is it you're trying to control that God wants you to surrender? Let's be honest. How's that working for you? How's it working for you to gain control? How's the relationship health? How's the financial health? How's the job health? How's your physical health? How's your mental health? How's your soul health when you try to take control of it? Who are you in this story? Are you Herod, grasping for control more and more and more? And the more you grasp for control, the more you see things seem to start dying in your life. Or are you Mary, surrendering control to the one who's ultimately in control? You see, that's the greatest gift we can give God this Christmas. You know, God's going to give you, and he promises to give you tons of things. And we're going to learn about him over the next couple of weeks, some of the greatest gifts that God gives us. But he can't give them unless we're willing to surrender up something else. Every year, when I was a kid, before I got new things, before Christmas morning came, my parents did what I'm sure a lot of you guys do, is we had to do what we call the purge. Right? You know what I'm talking about. We had to go through the old stuff, figure out what we were going to give away to make room for the new stuff. Right? So we'd go through our toys, we'd go through our clothes, we'd bundle up. Matter of fact, we'd throw away clothes that our parents thought we liked, but we didn't like. We never really wore, so we put them in the bag anyways to get rid of them. You all know what I'm talking about. And so we do the purge. We had to give away in order to receive again. That's the same principle with God. If there's something you need to receive, as we talk about for the next couple weeks, peace, joy. If there's something you need, you have to give something up first. You have to surrender something. So what is it for you? What is it that you need to surrender? As Mary said, let it be. I'm going to give it to you, God, no matter what it is. I'm going to surrender. I'm going to give it back to you. Now, not what I think it needs to be, God, but what you are calling it to be. If there's a burden on your heart that you're desperately trying to control, and I don't know what it might be for you, relationships, marriage, children, diagnosis, financial, some fear, addiction, guilt, whatever it is, I want to encourage you this morning. Stop trying to control the issue. Surrender it to God. Give him a gift this morning. Give him your trust. He knows the story. Matter of fact, and he knows your ache. Matthew 11:28 says this, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble, and you will find rest for your soul. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." What's so special about Mary in this story is the angel appears to her. And what did the angel say? Mary, don't be disturbed. Don't fear. The Lord is with you. I want to remind you of that this morning. Maybe you haven't felt that in a while. Maybe the burdens of this world right now and all the burdens that you foresee in the future, maybe you haven't felt that the Lord is with you. I want to remind you of that this morning. I want to remind you of that from the very beginning of Jesus arriving on earth. The words that were spoke to Mary. Mary, the Lord is with you. Maybe your burden is so heavy. I want to promise you this. God can do way more through your surrender than you can do through your control. God can do way more through your surrender than you can do through your control. As we close this morning, I want to challenge you with a final question. This season, are you Herod or are you a Mary? Are you struggling to grasp control? Are you trying to reach for it and gain control? And guess what happens when we do that? When we try to grab control of something, what do? We make a fist. We hold on to things and we tighten up. And what do we do when we make a fist? We put ourselves in a fighting position. And maybe some of you have been grabbing control so much you're just fighting with God over something. Or are you like a Mary who surrenders and opens up her life and opens up her hands and says, God, whatever I have is yours. Whatever issue I'm facing, whatever struggle I'm going through, whatever burden is on my heart, Lord, today I'm going to release control. I'm going to release trying to fix the situation, and I'm going to give it to you. And what happens when we open up our hands, guess what we do? We open them up, and open hands are able to receive something. So you got to ask yourself the question this season. Are you here or are you here? Let me pray with you. Father, today we come before you And I know there's plenty of people, and including myself, that there's areas of my life that I'm trying to control. Why? Because I don't trust you. And yet what I'm doing when not trusting you is I'm missing out on the blessing of your faithfulness. And if that's you this morning, I'm going to ask you to do a simple thing. I'm going to ask you to open up your hands wherever you are and say, God, today I'm going to give you this burden. And call it, name what it is. God, I'm going to give you this burden. I want to have a merry heart in a Herod world. And I surrender it to you. I don't know what the outcome is going to be. I don't know if I'm going to be in a stable. I don't know if it's going to look the way I thought it's going to look. But God, I'm giving you my gift of surrender to you. And so if that's you this morning, put your burden in your hands, open them up, and give them back to God. And I tell you what God says. And the angel said to Mary, the Lord is with you. Maybe some of you have never surrendered your life to Jesus at all. You've been holding on control forever. This year, I'm going to encourage you. Today, I'm going to encourage you. Do this. Open up your life to Him. Give Him your life. And it's a simple thing by just saying, Jesus, I surrender me to you. I surrender my heart to you. Come into my life because I'm tired of trying to control it. And I promise you, the Lord will be with you. It's a simple prayer. God, I surrender my life to you. I accept you as my Savior. Come into my life. And if that's you and you said that prayer this morning, I want to welcome you to a life of being out of control, but being in blessings and faithfulness. Guys, have a wonderful Christmas. I hope to see you soon. Be blessed. And I just want to encourage you this morning, go with a surrendered heart to God.
If you're a first-time guest, we would love to have an opportunity to connect with you and give you a free gift for joining us today. Or if this isn't your first time, but you're ready to get connected, go ahead and send me an email and let me know how we can best serve you. We have life groups, both live and virtual, classes and resources to help you live your life in complete freedom. And you know what? If you're ready for the full on-campus experience, you can reach out to us via email as well, and we will get you connected with an opportunity to check us out and meet our church. Thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed week.